Alright, so, flash time, alright? I don't mean flash time isn't we're gonna freeze in flash time or we're slow. The Flash Armageddon event, not a crossover. People were like, yo, calling this a crossover. It's not a crossover. Not really. They announced this event months back. They said that even like before the end of season 7, they said that season 8 was going to start off with an event where there are going to be several characters within the Arrowverse, is what it's called, showing up, and got me a little excited, sort of. Characters that were announced were Ray Palmer, aka the Atom, Black Lightning, Ryan Choi, fake Batwoman, yes, fake Batwoman. Kate Kane's the only real Batwoman, so don't get me started on that. And, Mia Queen. So, oh, and I forgot about Alex Danvers, aka Sentinel, which, yeah. So, it was announced, and then found out the film would be Despero, or at least those of you who followed it. There's a lot of people who, like, I watch people who do reactions and they have no idea what's going on, and I'm like, what's this? What's this? What's this? And I'm like, I understand you want to be surprised, but to me it makes you look like an idiot if you don't know a little bit of what's going on in these episodes. Like, knowing the basic 5 characters that are going to show up is not spoiling anything. Other characters that show up within this crossover, they just pop out of nowhere. They also said Damien Dark and Reverse Flash were going to be in here too. That's right. But, like, little characters that show... There are characters that show up here and there. But, yeah. But this does... like most of the crossovers or events like this, it comes to question, is it necessary to have it be this long? This was 5 parts. Was it necessary? Excuse me. Sneeze. Not... Come on, don't make me sneeze again. Not necessarily. It's like the first 3 parts were solid. Then you get to part 4, and it feels like everything was just trudging along. You get to 4, and you hit a wall. And then, like, the wall, like, you're slowly coming out of it, going through. So 4, and then starting 5, you're still kind of... And then it's like you got stuck in some kind of sludge. Or like Freddy Krueger made your steps in oatmeal. Like in the movie, and you couldn't get up there until you get through episode 4. Because it felt like, like everything was leading up to stuff. And then you get to episode 4, and we're just stuck in this one place for almost the entire episode. And then you get to episode 5, and there's just like talking stuff, and then you finally get to push forward and go to the finish line, so to speak. It is the Flash. As for the guest stars, there was a couple things I was looking forward to. Like I'm not a big fan of the Black Lightning show. I think there's too much like racism angles. Like, I understand the character's African American. I get that. But every single episode, there was some kind of, like, maybe not every single episode. I only watched, like, the first 5 episodes of the first season of Black Lightning. But those first 5 episodes had too much, like, racism stuff. Like, the scene where Jefferson and his family are driving, and the white cop stops him because they're looking for a suspect, and the only thing they have to go by is he's black. So, got to stop the first black man we see, right? In 2016, 17 when it started, I don't think maybe those people may still exist, but it just didn't work with me. And after 5 episodes, I gave up. I'm like, I can't deal with this anymore. I can't deal with every episode having some kind of racism angle or, anti-racism thing. And it's like, I'm not, I'm against racism. But Black Lightning just didn't work with me. And that's different for other people, But I did remember what he said. His little speech that he gives, because I remember from the first episode. And it took me a minute, because he says this to Barry. He's like, where's the future? Now. All that. I don't remember the whole thing, but he's like, there's something I say to my kids, to my students. And he says, I'm like, I think I remember that. And then when he has to talk, he's like, okay, where's the future? Now. It's like, yeah. So some of the guest stars were warranted. Black Lightning is the only one, I think, where it's like, he was necessary. Because at this moment when he showed up, he was needed. All the others just show up. Like, the first episode is Ray Palmer. He's just there in Central City for a convention. That's it. Despero shows up and warns Barry he's going to cause Armageddon, and that he's there to stop him. Now, a lot of people were conflicted because in the comics, Despero's a villain, and it seems like he's more of a hero, anti-hero type. And I feel like the writing... I feel like they had the makings for an anti-hero type character with Despero. Like, he's got some kind of... There's some gray area with him, but overall he is trying to do something good. But then episode 5 is like, nah, he's a bad guy. Because we advertised him as the villain, so he has to fight. Flash has to fight him in the last episode because we advertised him as the villain. It felt like obligation to make him the villain at the end, is what it felt like. I didn't hate Despero. Vincent Van Gogh from Doctor Who, and you Doctor Who fans are wagging your finger. It's Van Gogh. It's Van Gogh. No, they're saying it wrong. Everyone says it wrong. It's Van Gogh. That episode, Vincent and the Doctor, it's a good episode. But every time they say Vincent Van Gogh, I want to shoot him in the head because they're saying it wrong. It's Van Gogh. But anyway, he plays Vincent Van Gogh. And he's good as Despero. And he shows up. So Flash will cause Armageddon. And then we get little hints that something is not exactly right. Like, there's hints like Joe's not around. And they hint that something has happened. But Barry's not connecting. Like, they say something like, oh, Cecile's going through a lot right now. And all that. And then when we get to episode 2. After the whole... In most of episode 1... Despero doesn't show up to the very end. And, the Atom helps him. And you get to episode 2. And this is where we get the exposition. Oh, you're going to cause Armageddon. And this is going to happen. And then we get, shit just falling. It's like the movie Balto. Where, everything bad that can happen to Balto happens. Barry gets... Barry gets fired from his job because he's implicated in some kind of crime. I don't remember what the crime was. Do you remember? Something about, he's somehow connected to some crime. I don't remember what the crime was. This was episode 1. I haven't rewatched any of this. I'm trying to go off memory here. And then he loses his job. Star Labs gets shut down because of a radiation leak. And the big revelation at the end, which you could kind of figure out if you pay attention, Joe died 6 months before this, which would have been right after the events of season 7. Who's the villain in season 7? I can't remember. Godspeed at the end, right? So something is going on So he calls Black Lightning at the end of episode 2 because he's going to cause Armageddon, and he wants to take his speed. Everything just comes crashing down, and he wants to take his speed so he doesn't cause Armageddon. Because he's losing control. Like, he sees wild spurts of him, footage of him on the news, of him doing bad things he can't remember. So he thinks he's losing his mind. And we're going to get to that because, like, Barry keeps saying he did all this to mess with my mind, to make me go crazy. But no. Because it's revealed later something else. But, like, episode 3 picks up right after the Black Lightning stuff, and he says, this what's the future, that kind of thing. They talk, and you got to take the speed away from me, and he does this, and it weakens him. But we got Dion in this episode showing up from within the Speed Force because Iris missed an appointment, or she purposely did it so he'd show up so you can figure out what's going on, and they find out that someone is using the negative still force. Now, I'm still trying to figure out how Thawne, because it is Thawne, had connection to the reverse still force. Because that makes no sense. I thought maybe there was like a reverse Dion, or whatever you want to call him, a reverse turtle. I don't know. A reverse turtle would be fast. I don't know. But it's just, I don't know, it's very confusing to me how just because Barry has a connection to all the other forces doesn't mean Thawne does. But apparently he has a connection to the reverse still force. But when he says reverse, negative still force. Sorry. Negative still force. When he says negative, you automatically think Thawne. They don't catch it right away. So then, if this girl starts to attack, Black Lightning tries to help. And after this part, he just disappears, like, gone. Ray leaves at the end of his episode, which I was confused because they said that Ryan Choi would be taking up the mantle of Adam, and that's going to lead to a negative point I have eventually with this because episode 4 was a disappointment for me overall. But Barry decides he has to go to the future to find out who is causing all this. So, in episode 3, to the future, with help from Dion, I think. And it's Thawne. Of course it's Thawne. But not only that, he's marrying Iris. And we see that Ryan Choi, Alex Danvers, and fake Batwoman are there. And I'm going to keep calling her that because, fuck you, are there somehow. And then it ends with Thawne with that smile. And then we pick up episode 3 and episode 4. And the beginning of this was actually kind of cool because they're like, what are you doing here, Alan? Like, they don't know who he is really. And so he's like, I'll prove to you who I am. So he turns up to his suit, uses the ring and stuff, and it's the reverse flash suit. And it's a new reverse flash suit, so there's something going on with that. They're going to use it. It's a brand new suit. They want to put a brand new suit if they weren't going to use it for more than just this little event. But he's wearing a reverse flash suit, which we saw in promo pictures if you paid attention, actually kind of cared about getting information instead of just ignoring it and looking like an idiot when you're talking about it in your videos. And then Thawne is wearing the Flash outfit, and we find out it's a reverse Flashpoint. He went back to 2013, which at first I was like, 2014. I'm like, no, wait. The particle accelerator incident was 2013. So he went back 2013, and he got hit with the particle accelerator, becoming the Flash, and made Barry the reverse Flash. But he also went back in time and killed Barry in 2000 on that night, which he's starting to fade out of existence once he gets there. But my question is, But he also reveals he went back in time and he messed with the Star Labs thing. He killed Joe, and he framed him for all this stuff. And I'm just like, wait. Also, I forgot to mention the Flash reveals himself to Destro, but Destro can read minds, so how didn't he already know that? But I'm just like, there's this too much convoluted with this whole Reverse Flashpoint. He went back in time to make himself Flash and make Barry the Reverse Flash. Then he goes back and he kills Barry, so that's going to negate what he did with the Reverse Flash thing. Then he also went into the regular timeline and messed with that. There's just too much time messing. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And this is the episode that I think is the most unnecessary. There is too much unnecessary character development in this episode. Like, they've been pushing hard for Chester P. and Allegra to get together, which I'm fine with, but it seems like they're going too hard with it, and this episode really kind of pushes. When they think they're going to die, they're like, oh, I love you, and it's just like, okay, I get this is 2031, but to us, this is still right now, and it's still too soon, you know what I mean? And you got like Alex. Here's another thing. No one fucking ages in 10 years. Put a little gray in Alex's hair. No one looks any different other than Chester, who has dreads for some reason. Like, okay, he grew dreads out for 10 years, but no one looks older. No one. I mean, you remember back in season, 7, 6, whatever one that Nora came in, season 5? Really, that far? When they go to the future and they show Iris with the white streak in her hair or whatever, she looks older. I know that's 2049, but by 2030, she would still look a little like younger than that, but still older than she did now. 2031, I should say. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And so we get a fight with the Flash, and you got like Sentinel, which is Alex Danvers' name apparently. I don't watch Supergirl anymore, didn't watch Supergirl anymore. That's over. But fake Batwoman, and Ryan Choi dressed as the Atom in the most comic accurate Atom suit I've ever seen. And again, it's like, oh, they made this suit, something's gonna happen. But in my mind, like, this is the future, and Barry rewrites it. It's like, I would have preferred like a power transfer. Like, I don't want Ray to die any means, but Ray was talking about moving on and not being the Atom anymore. I think it would have been better if he just handed it over to Ryan Choi. Not that I thought by the end everyone was going to come together to fight Despero. Everyone in the last episode, Black Lightning, Atom, all that, and then give the Atom mantle to Ryan Choi at the end and say, I'm retiring. But it doesn't happen, and all we see from Ryan Choi as the Atom is in the future. In an alternate future, that's not going to happen. In an alternate future where he wasn't married, apparently. I don't know, because there's a lot of things. And here's another thing. If he's trying to take Barry's place, one, he's going by the name of Thawne, which that brings into question Eddie Thawne, but also where's the real Harrison Wells? He's wearing Harrison Wells' face. And a lot of people have questioned, well, why don't they get Matt Letcher to come back? Well, he's got another show that he's on, and he's busy with that. But also, like, Tom Cavanaugh is like the most accessible version of him you can get, because he's been on the show for so long, and they probably had him, hey, you're leaving at the end of season 7, but we need you to film this stuff, because they kind of filmed it real close, right? They finished season 7, and there was like maybe like a month, and they went back, so maybe he like didn't leave Canada for like a month, and then filmed this, and then went back. I don't know, but just I don't know. People were complaining that he wouldn't. It does come into question, like, where's the real Harrison Wells in that timeline version? And how is he known as Thawne? Because they call him Thawne. They call him Eobard, and I'm just like, wait, shouldn't we call him Wells or Harrison? It just doesn't make any sense to me how they wouldn't. I mean, I get maybe he would trust them enough to tell them his secret, but then he'd be like, wait a minute, what about the real Harrison Wells? Where is he? Oh, I killed him and took his place. In an alternate timeline that doesn't exist anymore. But there's two. And also, Joe's not in episode 4. So what? I don't know. Even after Barry gets with help from Damien Dark, by the way, uses the time stone and goes to the future, a special little device thing, and goes to the future. Goes back to the past and stops from happening, creating Armageddon in the process, but also reversing, which also brings into mind, like, how does going through multiple timelines work, just traveling to the future? I mean, Back to the Future did it, but traveling to the past, to the future, I don't know. Time travel is a very confusing thing, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. We get the end of episode 4. He calls Joe. You don't see him, but he calls him. He's like, "You're okay. You're alive. You're fine." And yeah. Also, what happened to Jenna? Like, they keep mentioning her because they have to keep bringing her up to let you know she's still alive, but we never see her. Also, there's this guy known as Marcus, apparently in promo materials. They're just standing at the party, but he's not important. People are like, oh, he's Ryan Joey's partner. Like, well, he's not, gay or anything. But in that timeline, he could have been, but he's just a single guy. I don't know. It's really weird. Yeah, so we get to episode 5, and it starts off with Barry going to Joe, hugging him, and then apparently a little bit of time has come because he tells him what happened. But the Reverse Flash shows up in the CCPD because he wants to publicly ask Flash to save his life. Because, if they let me die, the people will know that he let me die, and that'll shed a negative light on the Flash, right? But I also have to question some of the decisions from some characters. So the obvious choice here is to just let him die. Let him fade away and classify himself as obsolete. Obsolete. But just let him die. That's my decision too. Let him die. He has done so many bad things to so many people. Let him die. But there's the moral obligation. There's the 2 newest members of Team Flash, Allegra and Chuck, Chester P. They're just like, no, we gotta help him, right? This is what we gotta do. And older members, especially Caitlin. Here's the thing. So they've been dropping some hints here that some characters are gonna come back. Because it's already been announced that Rick Cosnett, who played Eddie Thawne, and Robbie Amell, who played Ronnie Raymond, are coming back for a couple episodes or so. Like flashback stuff, maybe, but maybe more. Who knows? But in the first episode, Caitlin's talking about getting over Ronnie. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's ironic. She mentioned that. In this episode, she basically has a conversation with Reverse Flash, with Thawne, about Ronnie. I'm like, oh, okay. And then Iris mentions Eddie earlier in the episode, and I went, okay, they're hinting at something here. They wouldn't be mentioning these characters after several seasons of not mentioning them. Because Caitlyn's never moved on. I'm like, what do you mean? She's dated every guy who's come onto the show. I'm serious. She had Ronnie, and then she wanted Zolomon. And then in season 3, it was freaking Julian, right? Every new guy that comes on to Team Flash is like, ooh. And then there's Chillblaine, but that's technically Frost. They're the same thing. It's really, she hasn't had a kind of relationship attraction thing since season 3, really, after Julian left for no reason. But I'm just saying, I haven't gotten over Ronnie. You were with 2 other guys after Ronnie. You wanted to get with Zolomon, shortly after Ronnie freaking died, for God's sake. I'm just saying, you're not over Ronnie, my ass. but they mention him. She wants to let him die. And I'm with that. But then, the biggest problem with this episode, Joe goes off on Barry and Iris about letting him die. Says, that's not what we do. You're not like him. We don't do that. And I'm like, Joe, he killed you. If I was in that position, if I was in Joe's position, morals be damned, all right? Morals be goddamned. This man, in an alternate timeline, killed me. Fuck him. Let him die. Let him die because he killed me. It's personal. All right? Let him die. But no, because it's a Flash, because it's moral, he has to do this. And there's something weird with the promo for this episode, because the promo looked like the characters from the future timeline were going to show up. Because I swear in the promo, they showed Alex Danvers and fake Batwoman, and I'm just like, and then Mia Queen. Mia Queen is probably the most unnecessary inclusion in this, because she only comes back to find William, who disappeared at the end of her pilot episode, didn't get picked up. And she's like, well, I'm looking for William. I'm like, well, Reverse Flash has nothing to do with that. And there was an accident that tracked him there, but then she just stays there. And she's only there to get mind controlled by Pytar here. Or not, Despero. He has the flame of Pytar. And this is where I'm like, okay, he's been sort of an anti-hero type character. Now, because it's the last episode, he's basically been standing around since episode 3. Because we had other stuff to tell. And now, all of a sudden, he's like, oh, you can't save him, he can still cause Armageddon. And it's like, yeah, but then he just becomes a villain. And Barry's like, you lied. You didn't save people, you destroyed them. You didn't save your planet, you destroyed it. You ruled it. And he's like, yes, you're right, I did that. It's only bad from your point of view, or whatever. And it's like, okay. Obviously, you want to have like a moral imbalance here, where he thinks he's doing the right thing, but in our eyes, it's the wrong thing. So they save Thawne. There's a fight between the Flash, but he needs something special to send the Flame of Pytar back down to him. So we finally get the gold boots from the comics that Chester P hooked up that device that Barry used into the boots. It's cool to see the gold boots. You gotta give a reason for him to be there, so that's cool. And then Damien Dark is still there, which is weird, but then he gives the time stone to Joe, which is probably gonna do something in his story this season. And then we see the transfer where Nora is there apparently, and then she gets sent back to the regular timeline. I'm just like, okay, I get that he would go away and she would come back, but she wouldn't be in the central city. She would just, I don't know why she was there, except for a surprise cameo. Because it's like, wouldn't she just appear with Ray on their wherever they are? It just doesn't make sense that she would show up taking his. I don't know. It's really weird. It's really weird. But yes, and then we get the post-credits stinger, because it's just like a toast and everything at the end of this. Because Thawne is now human again. He's like, my speed is my life. You took away my life. And I'm like, okay. Ham. And he's sent to Argus. But the tease, the next episode or two, which doesn't come out till March, by the way, are like fillers. Because I don't know why we gotta have fillers when we gotta do 3 different stories this season. Just keep us going, man. We don't gotta have filler. The problem with last season was that there was too much filler. With episodes where you had like only 4 episodes with Godspeed and there's like 2 episodes of filler before it. It's like, no, we don't need that. But in this stinger, we go to CCPD again. And we focus in on a picture from 2014. And I'm like, is this going to be something with Eddie? But no, it focuses in on this random cop lady. I'm like, okay, who is this? Is she the villain? No, because all of a sudden you see the yellow, purple lightning streaks. And Bart and Nora are in the picture. And I'm like, okay, what? what do they do now? Haven't they learned not to mess with their powers of time? I don't. So that's gonna go over to the next episode, I assume, but that's not till March. That's a long time from now, but March. I hate the breaks. But you need breaks so they can take break and film. But they've been filming since I don't know, May. They should have enough to keep us going. I mean, come on. But it's on a break, so we got a break, and also they gotta put different shows in, I guess, too, because we got Superman Lois show up, and Legends is coming back, so. And the Flash is going to Wednesdays in March for some reason. That's after Legends finished up its season. So this was okay. It's nothing. It's not as good as I thought it was gonna be. There's some good parts. I think once you get to, like I said, you get to episode 4, it kind of slows down, and in the end, fight with Deathstroke kind of picks up. Although it does feel like most of this crossover was building up that Deathstroke was trying to save people, and all of a sudden, no, he is just a bad guy now. I don't know. But it's fine for what it is. It gives us Reverse Flash that should have been in Crisis. If Crisis on Infinite Earth was indeed supposed to be the thing I still don't think that it's the actual what was in I mean, I know they changed it, but the newspaper article, I don't think it was the same Crisis, because the Reverse Flash was in that Crisis, and he wasn't in this Crisis, so it's got to be something else. We know the Reverse Flash is not done being the Reverse Flash. They've taken him out before, he keeps coming back, he's like that weird relative that you don't like, for some reason keeps coming around every holiday. Yeah, kind of like that. But, yeah, this was fine for what it was, but I don't know. I maybe expected more coming from this, but it was fine. So what are your thoughts on the Flash Armageddon? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.